What kind of questions do you have for Rob based on what you learned here? Let's come right over here. Give us your name.
My name's Jensen Chambers.
Hey, Jensen.
So I have a life insurance policy right now.
Yep.
With my insurance agent. Is that the same as what you're doing, performing with this, or would it be something different? Because I know I can borrow against it.
Yep.
But
So it's a great question. So at the top, if you remember, I said I have 14 different policies because as I began to elevate economically, I bought more and more insurance. So if you have a whole life policy that's building cash value already, you could most certainly tap right into this principle and start the process of purchasing real estate, 100%.
Yeah, one of the things that I think you need to be aware is that every policy is custom designed. And so there's a lot of policies that do not get designed for optimization. There are some policies where you have to dump in for years before you have anything you can access, versus how do I put money in and immediately access it back out? Does that make sense?
Yes.
So I would ask Rob's team to actually evaluate the policy, take a look at it, and make sure you're building the right one, because most policies you're gonna build for 10, 20, or 30 years. Make sure you're building something designed for your investments. If it's not designed for your investments, you may wanna have it restructured.
right on, thank you.
Yep.
Great question, thank you, Jensen. Guys, give it up for Jensen. Other questions? By the way, our next guest that'll be coming up in a little bit is blind. So my team is adding tape everywhere. He has very little vision left, and we try to keep him from falling off of the stage. So that's a good thing. Other questions that you guys have for Rob?
Mr. Klingon.
It's gonna come right over here.
Hi, I'm Craig. Hey, Rob, when you increased meetings and all that, and
Yep.
Being aware of Sean's program, were you conscious of changes you were doing about, say, being a good listener and the 5 questions, like where you're from, or did you just see the results? I mean, I'm saying, did you diagnose yourself like, oh wow, I answered that better?
First of all, that's a great Sean question, but I will say this. I think I'm the example of like running into the wall over and over again, like looking for a different result. So I think that I am the guy that if you look up the word persistence in the dictionary, that's who I am. So I kept learning what not to do before I eventually learned what to do. So that's the best way I could answer that question. So no, I didn't notice it early on. I had a genuine work ethic and enthusiasm, and that created a lot of good, but I didn't have the scientific approach that Sean and Chris has at all. And I began to learn that through that process.
Great question, Craig. Give it up for
Thanks,
Craig.
Craig.
We're gonna take 2 more questions, but first, you all received this document. Now is the moment to fill it out and pass it over so that when they leave, that they can call you next week and actually find a time to actually share that with you. So please fill that out right now, because they're gonna go, and when they go, they're gone. Go ahead. Stand up and give us your name.
I'm Tanner.
Hey, Tanner. Tanner, where are you from?
I'm from Provo. So 10
It's
minutes.
Tanner from Provo!
So I'm 19 years old, and I just want to know, is it ever too early to invest or in a life insurance policy, and when would be the best time to do that?
Today.
For a 19-year-old kid.
Right now. It's the best time right now. It's never too early.
Awesome.
I wish never too early. I started my first one at 30.
Yeah, let me just actually add something to that. When you start insurance policy, the younger you are, the cheaper it is. So the earlier you start, the better. Yeah. But I just signed on another mega policy. So guys, just to be really clear, like every month I am dumping money into my policies for my investments. I just signed one of the biggest policies I've ever done, and now I'm getting ready to structure another policy, because remember, do I use banks? Yes or no? No, my banks are called what? These specially designed life insurance policies. Most insurance, I don't know if Rob said this, maybe he wouldn't want to because he thinks it would be rude, but I don't mind being a little bit rude if it's true. Most insurance people will not structure you a policy the way his team will. When I say that it took me 10 years to find Rob and his team, it's because 10 years ago, I was writing policies like crazy, and then I decided that the people I was working with didn't possess the ethics that were important to me, so I separated. And I said, no problem, I'll find someone else. 10 years and 200 carriers later, I finally meet Rob. What I mean by that is the way insurance contractors are paid is that they're paid to push certain policies. The policies they push are often not the ones that will support your investments. It's where what you're really doing is investing in insurance itself. Guys, the insurance, the death benefit, those are perks. That's not why I'm doing this. So finding someone that was willing to do truly the right thing for me, for my clients, was really hard to find. That's what Rob and his team do that I respect so much, is the fact that they'll actually create the policy that will best serve my financial plan and not theirs. So Rob, that's truly a credit to you and your amazing team. They've been taking care of us for a long time now. Guys, give it up for Rob. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, we are going to sign the final one here, but if I could have all my staff on the sides, if you guys can take your fill-up papers and just push them to the sides right now. We're just gonna go ahead and send everything that way. And let's come over here for a question. Go ahead and stand up. All right, give us your name.
My name's Paul.
Hey, Paul.
I'm just wondering, so the 100K
Yes.
in that example, so you would basically take 100K cash, put it into this investment?
No.
Okay.
No, that's built up over time, right? So what happens is it's understanding the science of money. So let's say if somebody has money in a savings account and somebody has money inside the policy, right? And you want to go buy a piece of property, people typically would go to the savings account, right? But then you're not getting leverage with that money. So I would say borrow from the policy, have the renter pay back the policy so you can get 7 rates of return. I was just doing a compare and contrast in that scenario.
And the reality, Paul, is you can do what's called a dump in into your policy and start with a large chunk of money.
Yes.
Or you can just have it build up with time. Because Mr. 19-year-old might say, hey, I got this to put in there every month because I'm just kind of starting out financially with my life. And someone else might say, I actually have a chunk of money and I want to maneuver it into one of these policies so that I can immediately start accessing and putting it in real estate. The reality is every policy is a custom design, and it has to be designed around you, your age, your health, your desires, and your investment game plan, which is what we are about to do next. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so basically you take out a 100K policy, but you basically pay monthly, or do you put
It depends on what kind of business and your cash flow. Some people like to pay monthly, some people like to pay quarterly or annually. It's totally up to you. It's very flexible from that standpoint.
Okay. And you can borrow off that money, basically take the money out, put it on a house, you just have to pay it back.
Yeah, so what you would, technical distinctions, you wouldn't be taking it out, you would be borrowing it from the insurance company who uses it as a collateral. So it's still earning. So the one I want you to focus on one thing. Even though you're borrowing on that 100K, let's say you borrow 50, that 100 is still earning 6 to 7%. Because you're not taking it from the 100.
Hey, Paul,
It's an
right now what
arbitrage.
your mind is doing is like, this is mind-blowing. Are you absolutely kidding me? He gets it, folks. Give it up for Paul. That is it. That's it. Hey, guys, one more time. Give it up for Rob Gilda's team. I love you.
Thank you.